Hello and welcome to the Jambags channel. I'm myself, Rudy Manchego, here to talk about Beat Saber for the PlayStation VR. Now, obviously, to play this game, you're going to need a PlayStation. You're also going to need a VR headset. You're also going to need to have all the wires and the bits and the bobs. You've got to try and work out how to put them all together, which is bloody difficult. And once you've done all that, you're also going to need the big luminescent sex toys. No, not one of those. I mean, like the Move controllers. You're going to need those. This game is absolutely mandatory to have them. Now, if you've got all of those things, you should be looking like these bunch of twats. One guy with the headset, for some reason, hasn't got his Move controllers, don't know what's going on there. And the guy on the left, well, he doesn't like him very much. Just look into his eyes. There's something he doesn't like about him. Maybe he fancies his girlfriend. Perhaps he's trying to make him move on with the headset on. We don't know. Anyway, back to Beat Saber. Now, Beat Saber has been out on Steam for a while now, where it's got great reviews. It's now out on the PSVR, which is also getting pretty good reviews. And I've had it for a few days now since I think the launch, and I've been playing it to the point where my arms are filled with lactic acid, and I'm having real problems just functioning really and standing around. So what is the plot of the game? Well, it's a hard one to say, to be honest. However, what I can piece together is that you are probably a Jedi because you've got lightsabers, and you're possibly a bit good and a bit evil because you've got a red and a blue one. And you're probably a Jedi that survived Chancellor Palpatine's Order 66 when the Jedi were exterminated in Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And during those intervening years between that and A New Hope, you've been captured by some kind of evil ex-DJ who's making you chop boxes in half in some kind of recycling scheme. I don't know, I had to piece it like that together myself. There isn't really anything explained in the game, but it kind of makes sense in a weird way. Despite being firmly entrenched in the Star Wars universe, again, I assume, it doesn't say anywhere, your main thing here is it's a rhythm game, yeah, and it's a pretty bloody good one. Now, I'm told that this has got some tunes by up-and-coming artists, but also some favourite tunes. I wouldn't have a clue. I stopped buying new music in 2002, and unless it's got David Bowie on it, I ain't going to have a clue, and let's face it, they're not going to be able to afford his back catalogue on a smaller game like this. So, take their word for it, this is good music. But it does suit the game really, really well with the beats. Now, the gameplay is pretty simple. You've got boxes flying at you, you've got a lightsaber in each hand, represented with the Move controllers in the real world, and you have to hit them in time to the music. To make it all complicated, you've obviously got a red one and a blue one. Your red lightsaber has to hit the red ones, and the blue lightsaber has to, hit the blue ones. Anyway, what you can do is also affect gameplay by making sure you hit them in the right direction. So there may be an arrow on the box, or there might not. You have to swing your blade in the exact way that the arrow faces. That's often in time with the music. But you also have other factors. You have a combo and a multiplier. So your combo is going to be how long really you go without making a mistake, and your multiplier is the quality of the cut. So you'll actually, depending on how you swing your sabers, you'll actually get an improvement on your score, which means that sometimes it'll be quite difficult to get a high score. You've also got obstacles that you've got to dodge as they come through, sometimes like walls and blocks, which means you can be leaning or crouching on the floor. You've got things you're not supposed to hit, like bombs, which you might have seen earlier on one of the clips. And it all adds up to making the game more and more challenging. Now, obviously, challenge is the main thing here, so it does start off pretty light and easy. There's a nice training mode to get you into the flow of things, and then you go through a kind of campaign if you wish to. The campaign itself starts off really easy, but the difficulty does ramp up, and it took me a while to get into the fact that you really have to swing for these things to really get the high score. So you get different kind of game modes through the campaign. Now, some of them is just going to be getting through to the end. Some of them is about not making certain mistakes, so by missing blocks or by hitting them the wrong ones or making a bad cut. Sometimes it's about getting a high score, which means getting high combos and multipliers. So those kind of things will allow you to progress. So you finish a course which is timed to a certain track. At the end of it, if you want to do it, you unlock the next stage or stages depending, and there's several paths you can normally go to. So if you are stuck, you can normally get around it and go a different way so you can progress further in the game. However, at some point you are going to get to the point where you really have to go and go again and go again and really practice, because the game can be pretty darn challenging. Now, this isn't a formal review because, to be honest, I haven't completed it, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to, because I'm probably about halfway through the campaign now, and it is really starting to push me. It's really quite hard, and I've got some problems with some of the levels. So as you go on, challenges change. So, for example, there's one element where the arrows disappear as they fly at the screen for you. So you've got to remember, look in advance, remember, and swing. And my poor little brain cannot handle that at all. So maybe I'm not going to be able to do those levels, and if they get more and more as we go on, that could affect how far I'm going to get into it. But for all that, there is also a free play option, so you don't have to play the campaign. You can pretty much set up, choose the songs, choose what you want to listen to, choose the beats, and just go for it and swing along and have fun. And that's actually a really good mode, because if the campaign does get too difficult, you can still enjoy the game. And I do think that the game is enjoyable without having to play the campaign at all. It really is just so satisfying moving the lightsaber around, and you really do feel like you're chopping things. You can't really sense it too much from the gameplay I've got here, but the controllers vibrate as you hit. The really cool touch is that if you touch the sabers together, they kind of have some resistance to each other. It feels like you are hitting them as like an electrical kind of shock. It doesn't do any damage, but it just gives it a weight to it. The actual beats really are well timed, you know, with your hits. There's also a multiplayer option in the sense that it's got like a leaderboard that you can then pass controls over to someone else and have them go, but I don't really friends, and you know, my co-host Dante's a twat, so I'm not going to give him a go. Anyway, all in all, it adds up to a pretty excellent package. A bit more pricey than some VR games, but the replayability is most definitely there. And one concern I had going into the game was going to be the actual controls. Now, the Move controllers are hit and miss, normally miss. You have a lot of tracking problems, a lot of latency issues, and that often depends on your setup. I've had a little bit of that with this game. I don't have an ideal VR setup, but you won't be able to fit this in an office space. You really do need to have a good way over the swing. I hit the cat a few times, my wife, the vicar who came over for some tea. It's difficult if anyone gets in your way, you are going to hit them, and there's no real getting away from that. But overall, the Move controllers do okay. I feel I've only missed a few hits here and there for them, and a bit of camera adjustment does do wonders, so you can get it to work. So far so positive. However, there is one thing that is quite apparent in this game, and that's what I call the VR bellend effect. Now, the VR bellend effect is what the real world sees of you when you're playing this, and to be honest, it's pretty bad in this one. I've got some footage here of me playing the game, and you're really going to get an idea of how much of a twat you look.
So sit back and let the show begin. The pro is in, you know it's in, but go and get me loaded in. And no offense, for the suckers ain't get close to no chance. I'm gonna win, my flow is so much doper than an Orient. Oh my lord, here we go again, it's going on and on, though. You can catch me up in that jungle, I'll be going ape like Congo. Hit them points like Pronto, wanna hit them up with that gun blow. That triple double Lonzo, that combo,
I mean, you know, just look at that. You know, if your other half sees you playing this, someone walks in on you, they are going to think you are having some kind of fit. They're probably going to call a priest to like exercise or something. I don't know. Holy water splashed everywhere. So just be warned of that. This is certainly one to play when no one's going to watch you. It's a little bit like when you try out the old VR porn. You don't want someone around when you're having a go on it. But other than that, you know, I've absolutely loved this game so far. It has absolutely done my arms in. It's completely hurt my knees. But I do feel like a Jedi, and a good Jedi, not one of the crap prequel ones or the Last Jedi, because you know that's crap. I feel like a good Jedi, like you know Luke Skywalker, again pre-Last Jedi. So I would totally recommend this game, which for me is a stunning endorsement, because I do find a lot of VR games are fun at first but fall flat. But personally, I'm really into this game, and I'm looking forward to playing it more. I'm actually going to have to leave it a day or two because my arms are so sore, but I think I'll be doing it. It's a good workout. I was drenched in sweat the last 2 times, which goes to show how unfit I am. Anyways, overall, Jambags' thoughts so far is it's pretty good. And why don't you let us know if you've got the game, if you like it, if you fancy it, if you think that having a lightsaber is cool, if you wish you had a lightsaber but you probably aren't safe to have one, all that kind of stuff. Let us know in the comments below, and do like and subscribe. Do check in us again and check us out on our various social media feeds, and also on Spotify, iTunes and all RSS feeds where we have our twice a month podcasts. Thanks very much. Seriously, what is this guy doing? I mean, wait, Steve, look, Cheryl's going out with Dave in the middle, yeah? He's got a VR helmet on. You've got no chance, all right? Just leave it alone. Just leave it alone, okay?